All right. Are you in a sexless relationship or a sexless season? So this is a common issue that comes up. And do me a favor, if you would, hit the subscribe button and the notification so you'll know when new videos drop. But I've helped a couple of dozen men heal sexless marriages. And the reality is sometimes it is a sexless marriage or relationship. Sometimes it's just a season. So first off, let's look at the definition of sexless marriage or sexless relationship. It's where you have sex 10 times or less per year. Okay? So if it's on your birthday and once a quarter, yeah, you're in a sexless relationship. One of the other things is, I get asked a lot, is that a valid reason for ending a relationship? And it 100% is. But let's look at, do you have a sexless marriage or relationship? So I see this after a couple has had a kid. So let me tell you, the most devastating thing to your sex life is having a child. It screws everything up. You're both exhausted. She's more tired than you. It is like a nuclear bomb going off in both your marriage and your sex life. And I'm going to tell you, brother, it might take 15 or 16 months for her to feel like a woman again, for her to have her hormones settle back in and be normal. And what do people do after about 2 or 3 years after their first kid sometimes? They have a second, okay? But understand, if it is within the first year to year and a half post-baby, it's not a sexless marriage. That's normal. That's her being exhausted. That's her hormones being all over the place. And it's a wonderful opportunity for you. What's the opportunity? To be there for her. To provide emotional support, to be a good dad, to be a good partner. Because when they are emotionally secure, then they can relax. And when they can relax, they can accept or consider physical intimacy. You hear a lot of times women talking about they didn't feel safe. And I've had a lot of men, I've never raised my voice, I've never hit her. They're not talking about physical safety most times. They're talking about emotional safety, okay? And that means actually listening when she's talking, okay? That means being there for her, not trying to fix all the problems, understanding a lot of times she just wants you to listen. Sometimes she might want your input. You know, it's doing what you say. If you don't keep your word, you're not trustable.
Not dismissing her feelings.
Huh?
Not dismissing her feelings.
Not dismissing her feelings. We're just going to ignore what Melanie said. No, just kidding. But
nice one.
I couldn't resist. But not dismissing her feelings. The feelings aren't wrong. And we can argue that they're valid, even if...
You disagree?
Well, even if they're factually incorrect,
yeah,
that doesn't mean her feelings to her are not true, but that doesn't mean you have to jump through hoops for her feelings, but you have to acknowledge them and you have to provide support. And sometimes, and I see this in a lot of the guys I work with at divorce, because there's a phase women go through in divorce where they're delusional. And they come around most times. And honestly, if you acknowledge her feelings and support that she's having those feelings and that's okay, that again creates trust. She feels seen and heard. Have you ever heard that, guys? I don't feel seen, I don't feel heard. And if they don't feel seen and heard, they don't feel sexual either. Okay? And so understand that you're going to have a disjointed sex life post-baby for a while. Okay? Your sex life is not necessarily going to ever be better than it was during the honeymoon phase. That's the other thing. I see men complain about their sex lives, but then it wasn't good to begin with. And then they had a baby and now they're all upset. It's like, and again, do what you need to do around the house. Be a man of your word. Validate her feelings. Listen to her. Even if you're not feeling up to it, listen to her. Make sure you put the phone down, okay? You've got to connect emotionally before you're ever going to connect physically. And finally, you still have to date her. Okay? And if you've got what I call the whack job mom who we can't leave the kid with anyone, you're going to have more work, but you have to overcome that because you need date nights as a couple. That's how you grew connection and intimacy before. That's how you continue to grow connection and intimacy in a relationship. So you want to do this, and that means you making all of the arrangements. And don't be one of those guys who complain and go, why do I have to do all the work? You have the honor of leading the romance, running the romance department. Don't complain about it. Do it. Lead, and she'll follow. All right, guys? If you're struggling with this, a true sexless marriage that's gone on, there's no young kids involved, and you're a year plus with no sex, you need to get busy because there's some numbers that come up. It's easier to heal it. It gets harder the longer it goes on. So reach out below and let's talk, and we'll see what we can come up with for you. Have a good one.